Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you listen to this interview anywhere else but within our private community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, be sure to come join us. We just surpassed 6,000 members within our community. So if you're a coach, consultant, or service provider, and you want to be a part of a solid community of individuals who are progressing and really making some leaps and bounds and changing how whether it's business and personal development is done, be sure to come check us out. We'd definitely love to have you. So that being said, today's guest, I really want to introduce you to a member of let me try this again, right? So I really want to introduce you to a member of our community here today, Kenneth Muyingo. Hey, Kenneth, welcome.
Thank you so much, Extus.
Hey, it's a pleasure having you here. So in terms of what you do, right, you help individuals write their first book and become highly published authors, right?
Yes, I help individuals write their first book and become highly paid published authors.
That's some pretty good stuff. In essence, so I guess books, right? So what's your definition? Do you believe that everyone should have a book? What's your definition of that?
My understanding of it is there's at least one book in each and every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And for most of us, that book remains unwritten.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the experiences that life has exposed us to, the knowledge that we have gathered through our learning, and the skills that we have gathered in our life journey, I think deserve to be documented.
Yeah.
So it's on that reason that I say there's at least one book in each and every one of us. Every life that is worth living is worth documenting.
Yeah, powerful stuff, man. Because I remember a friend of mine last year, it was they went to Ireland and they invited me to come to Ireland to this castle and say, let's go down there and we're going to write a book and stuff like that. And at the time I was like, no, I'm not, that's really not my thing, right? Because I have other stuff going on as well too. But one thing, because I've never really considered writing a book, and one thing that person said was it wasn't about just a book, but it more came from a place of legacy, right? So when I think back about my family, whether it's my grandparents, all these different individuals who've passed on, and how cool would it be if they actually had a book or something written that they left back, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
It's for that reason I think that everyone should write and leave something behind as far as a legacy is concerned. And a book is a great way to package your experiences and just organize them in a manner that people, your generations that come after you, can look through and read and know the things that impacted you and some of your motivations and the reasons why you did the things that you did. And sometimes, I mean, where I come from, my story starts in Uganda, and that's where I was born and raised. But what we see is many people are leaving and they have sort of no trace of the fact that they even lived when their physical presence is not with us anymore. And sometimes we find that they had a wealth of knowledge and experience, and sometimes that's just gone. And if you have to find it, then it's going to have to be through trial and error. And if there was a book that had been written for some people, then all you have to do is pick up a book and allow that knowledge to sink in.
Mm-hmm. Love that, love that. And you said your story began in Uganda, right?
Yes.
So yeah, tell us, what is your backstory? How did you, before you got into helping others publish books and stuff like that, what is your backstory? How did you get started?
Well, growing up, I was born and raised in Uganda, and I had these dreams of making a positive impact in other people's lives. Why, even when I was younger, but I didn't realize what was that was all about. And for a while, I just sat with these dreams, and also, like, with it, there was this big idea of me traveling and just going abroad or leaving Uganda to have an opportunity to impact other people's lives on a worldwide platform or on a wider scale. But these dreams were, for a long time, it was just a dream, and until 2009 when it happened and I got a visa to come to the Netherlands. And basically that's where I am right now. It was not an easy journey, but it was, if I look back on it, I wouldn't change one bit of it, because even the tough parts or the painful pieces of it have played a part in bringing me to where I am, and they've helped me to become the person that I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into a migration procedure that lasted about 2 years, and the procedure ended up with me being in immigration detention for 10 months because I was not allowed to integrate. And because of that, I went through the toughest time of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look back on it, it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. Because while in that detention center, I came face to face with a side of me that I did not know. I thought there was what I thought life had offered me, or what I was capable of doing. I realized that I was so much stronger than I had convinced myself, that I was capable of doing so much more. And I got an idea to write a book about my experience and share this experience with the world. But for a very long time, I sat with this idea and I didn't do anything with it because of fear.
Mm-hmm. So you said you were in immigration detention. What does that mean?
So when I came to the Netherlands, what happens is, the way I decided to come to the Netherlands, I decided to just migrate. So, and because I'm from Uganda, when I come to the Netherlands, unless I have legal residence, I am just a tourist, and then I have to go back.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got here, my mind was made up that I'm not going back, because I think this is a good place for me to build a future.
Mm-hmm.
And without informing myself appropriately, I was told, yeah, you need to get integrated in the system and the immigration system. And I was told the easiest way for you to do this is to seek asylum and to request to be integrated into the Dutch system. But I wasn't a refugee, so I just requested without preparing myself appropriately. And the Dutch government said, no, we don't think you're a refugee. You don't qualify for refugee status, so please go back where you came from. And I said, no, I have decided to come here. I'm not a criminal. I just want to have my life here. And they said, no, you have to go back. And if you don't go back, we're going to lock you up. And basically that's what happened. They put me in detention for 10 months in prison. It's like a prison for people who don't have legal residence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened after you got out? What's the what happened after you got out?
So when I got out, I was like, being in there, the way I like to look at it is I went in as a boy and I came out as a man.
Mm-hmm.
So I was so much preoccupied with myself and what I wanted out of life. But I realized that while I was in that place, in the detention center, with my own eyes, I saw men break mentally, people crushing. Someone comes in and within 2 months, they can't take the pressure anymore. And without realizing what I was doing, I started to be an encourager, to just reach out to other people and tell them, look, it's just a temporary situation that we're passing through, and it's not going to be permanent, and we are going to get out of this. But if we are broken here, then we have nothing to go out to once all of this is over. And I discovered that there was an encourager in me, and it's something I did not know. Looking back on my childhood dream of being someone who wanted to positively impact other people's lives, and I realized that this light had been sort of like a tiny light that was burning within me, that maybe needed a little bit of pressure for me to let that light come out and shine so that it could serve other people. And it was through this experience that I realized that. And when I got out of the detention center, I realized I was still undocumented. I was allowed to stay here, but I had to leave voluntarily because they could not expel me. So I started doing voluntary work with church organizations and NGOs, just teaching life classes and motivational speaking, and just talking to people, reaching out and helping others who are in tougher situations than I found myself. And basically that's what I was doing. And in the process of me doing that, at one point I got to a point and I realized, I'm like, yeah, I think this is about it. I've learned my lessons, and I think I have to be back on my journey back home in Uganda to organize the message that I feel has been given to me, to share it with the world, and to set up this business to help other people so that they can just be better and figure out a way from where they were to where they wanted to be. Because I realized that sometimes we are looking outside of us for the solutions that we want in life. My realization being in that detention center, I realized that all the answers that I needed were somewhere inside of me. And I wrote the book and I titled it Opening Up, The Strength You Need to Persevere. So this is it. And
tilt it down quite a bit. There's a glare. Can you show it again? Can you show it again?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So once I wrote the book, but I didn't write it at that time. So I was still just doing voluntary work. And through that process, I met the person who is my wife. And I was just ready about that time to go back to Uganda. And she said, if you're going back to Uganda, we're going back together. Basically, we decided we're going to stay here. Mm-hmm. And so we did the procedures that we needed to do, and I got recognized as a legal resident. And basically, I started writing my book because I felt this is something that I needed to do as far as this was concerned. Because it's a message that I felt it's something I needed to do, but I kept putting it off because I did not know where to start. I did not know how to do it or what the steps would be for me to get from an idea of having an idea to write a book to actually getting the book written. So I procrastinated and I put it off for months and years. And what helped me later on, I realized if I don't do this, it's just going to keep nudging at me. And I made up my mind and I started writing. And the book is written now.
Mm-hmm. Now, how long did it take you? From the time you started writing to the completion? Did it take you a while? How long, or is it a pretty quick process?
This first book, actually, it was not a while because what I knew was I wanted to write a book, but I kept putting it off and putting it back on. And so what I did is I started to write. I spoke to some people and they said, just write every day. Just write something every day and just save it on your computer and write every day. And basically that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And I wrote for about 1 year. I was just writing every day and I just kept it there. And eventually I got in touch with someone who was willing to help me to do the publishing of the book. And I realized, looking back on it, that there was an easier way. there's something I could have done differently, but I did not know. And the person that I looked to help me told me what they knew how to do. And basically, I did that. I finally got the book written. It was over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, basically that's it.
Awesome. So the question now becomes, in terms of writing the book, right? Because I know that there's a lot of individuals who do want to write a book, and as you said, you help them become authors. Because again, it's something you've done. What challenges? What do you feel is like the biggest roadblock that prevents someone from getting started with writing their books?
The biggest challenges that stop people from being able to write their books is not having a plan, basically. Mm-hmm. If what you have is a dream that you just want to write a book, and you just keep sitting with the dream and you never get a plan to work with, then it's just a dream. And then the other thing I realize as an obstacle is people keep putting it off, that they need to do research or to get more information. The initial idea of someone having a dream to write a book, they already know something about what they want to write about. And there's something about building momentum that once you start to write, then you just keep running with the momentum that you have built up, and the process just keeps getting accelerated. And the fact that people think you have to take 6 months to a year to write a book, I've got to the realization you can finish a book in 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. From start to finish, from idea to book in your hand, 6 weeks, and it's done.
Mm-hmm. So you could help someone write a book in 6 weeks?
Yes.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. And what's your, what are the phases of the book? Do you how do you teach? Do you have them go through different phases? How do you get someone to write a book? What is your process?
The process that I would go through with them is we help them to create a plan first. Mm-hmm. And once we have a plan in place, we have a checklist of the items that we're going to take care of. And then we start to write the book. There is a system that we use with mm-hmm. getting the book written in 6 weeks, because what stretches out the process is the writing aspect of the first draft, or just that aspect of getting the words on paper. But there is a work around it that has been figured out, that I show people that if they would like to do that, they could finish up with all the writing they need to do in 2 weeks, and then they do all the editing in another 1 or 2 weeks, and within 6 weeks the book is finished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so powerful, because I know that a big part about just the whole process is just knowing what to do, right? Having some type of as you said, plan. Because I realized a lot of individuals, they know they want to write a book, they have the idea for writing the book, but the issue now becomes there's no plan. So it's a whole bunch of just, I want to do it, but there's a whole bunch of procrastination. And it seems like you've kind of laid out that game plan for them, right?
Yes, indeed. There's a step-by-step process that I lead them through, and they will be able to have their book finished within 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Love that. Now, what about, what do you call this? In terms of, because I know you shared a story as far as basically your story from migrating from Uganda to the Netherlands. Now, what about skills wise? What skills would you say you've kind of developed that's got you to your level of success, like where you are today? What skill can you share with us that you believe has gotten you to where you are today?
The skills, it's quite a couple, but I think taking action is one of them. That looking back on where I started from, I realized it's something that was like I wanted to do things, but I just kept putting them off. And the other thing is being coachable, getting a mentor. It's knowing that you want to go somewhere that you have not been, and allowing someone else who has been where you want to go to actually take you and lead you there in a way saves time and resources. And another skill that I acquired as far as this was concerned is public speaking, because I am also a motivational speaker. And it's something that it's a passion of mine, because I realize it's something I draw to easily. And coaching, with this book, we have created a program. It's called the Opening Up Training Program, to help people just come face to face with where they are so that they can get to where they're going. Sometimes people say, and this is the workbook for the training program. So sometimes what happens is people say, yeah, I want to go to achieve this, or I want to go and get this kind of results in my life, but they don't realize that it's not so much about where you're going as it is, first of all, where you are. That sometimes we don't acknowledge or realize the place where we have found ourselves, because it is out of the choices and the actions that we have taken in the past that we find ourselves in the place that we are. And before we can get to where we want to go, we have to become clear of the place that we are. And once we are clear of where we are, through opening up and just asking yourself the tough questions that you have to ask yourself, so that life does not ask you these questions eventually, then you can start to get clear on where you want to go, and you make a step-by-step plan or roadmap to get you from where you are, once you've realized where you are, to get to where you want to go.
Awesome, love it. So you said you also did motivational speaking as well too. Are you most of them were offline? The speeches you did, were they mostly offline, or do you do any online at the moment?
I'm working on putting most of them online. Because what I've been doing, there's been a lot of doing it offline, and I have some recordings. But I realized that with the way the world has been transformed right now, everybody is somewhere on a computer screen, and people need to be to receive communication as far as the aspects of personal development and life are concerned. And so I'm working on putting all of this online. My website is up, and we will be putting some of that information there.
Yeah, I think I talked to a friend of mine right before the call as well, to Eric. And man, this guy, he's doing so many, because he shifted online as well, because he did a lot of the in-person events. And now he recently shifted online, and I'm like, hey, I've been following him on social media and just checking out some of his stuff, but he's like up to like, I think like 6 to 8 speeches every single day. It's like, wow. Goodness, man. So he's really cranking that frame. But yeah, you're definitely right as far as a lot of things has shifted, which is just a lot of people have migrated to the screens, right? To the Zoom conversations and all those different aspects of life and business. Now, tell me this: what about your personal success, like rituals and stuff? Do you have any habits? What habits would you say? There's probably a lot of them. But what one habit would you say is responsible for your success?
I'm a lover of learning. It's I make sure I have at least 2 to 3 hours of study time every day, because I realize that knowledge is power, but not just knowledge, but the right knowledge or specialized knowledge. And the only way for us to gather that knowledge is through learning and acquiring the knowledge. So for me, the most important skill that has made the biggest difference in my life is the willingness to learn.
Yeah. What about information wise? I know different individuals consume information differently, especially when it comes to learning, getting better, improving. Are you more of a reader? Do you listen to podcasts? What's your process?
I do a bit of both. So besides what I do is I love outdoor long distance running. It's a
Oh, you
thing that
runner.
it's a thing that I've put in my daily routine, and on a monthly basis, I run between 120 to 130 kilometers every month.
Mm-hmm.
So I spend some reasonable time outdoors. So what I do is I do audiobooks. I do a lot of audiobooks, not podcasts, but audiobooks. And then when I'm indoors, I love to read. There's just something that just pulls me to a book. Sometimes I could have listened to the audio, but I just love to sit and read through the book and write through it and just leaf through the pages. I learn better like that. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Man, I had no idea you ran that 120 to 130 kilometers per month. That's pretty cool. I know my story in running after I left the U.S. Marines. Running just fell out of my. It just became something I don't do as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. But that's awesome that you do that too. Um, so in essence, what's your vision? What are you seeing as next for you as far as the next the progression on your journey right now in terms of where you are?
My vision as far as where I am, I'm finishing up with this program that
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on to help the book writing community
Mm-hmm.
write their first book and become highly paid published authors. And once this program is uh, ready, I'm going to be rolling it out. And the vision of it is to serve at least 1 million people, write their books and share their message with the world and become highly paid published authors.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Love that. Now, in essence, if someone wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out? And
The best way to reach out, my email is kenneth@kennethmuyingo.com. And I am active on Facebook as well, Kenneth Muyingo, and on LinkedIn as well. And there is a group for people who would like to write their first book, become an author and write your first book. And that group, if you would like to write your first book and become an author, connect with us in the group to get the right support so that you can be able to write your book and share your message with the world.
mm-hmm. And what'd you say the name of that group? A Facebook group, right?
The Facebook group, yes, it's
Yeah.
Become an Author,
Become
Write
an
Your
author.
First Book.
Okay, so become an author, write your first book.
Yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome, perfect, awesome, Kenneth. Well, hey guys, everything Kenneth just shared with us here today, as far as the way to get in contact with him, I'll have the links either right above or below this video, so you should be able to just click on there and be connected right to him. So if you have an idea for a book and you definitely like to connect to see whether um, he could help, definitely reach out. Awesome, Kenneth. So with that being said, do you have any final thoughts before we end here?
I just want to say thank you so much, Extus, and this has been really wonderful. I'm so thankful that we've been able to do this.
Mm-hmm. Love it, love it. Well, again, appreciate you stopping by. I really appreciate that, and we'll be in touch. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.